This is RSN, Real Science Now. Let's dive right into the show.
Mythbusting Monday, the 5-second rule, debunked. Welcome to Mythbusting Monday, where we sift through the myths and misconceptions that tickle our curiosity and sometimes our taste buds. Today, we're diving into a food safety belief that many of us have clung to over the years, the infamous 5-second rule. Is it a scientific fact, or just a fun excuse to eat that pizza slice that fell on the floor? Grab your lab coats and snack leftovers as we bust this myth wide open. Picture this. You're enjoying a delicious slice of pizza when suddenly it slips from your plate and lands with a thud on the floor. Panic sets in. But wait, you remember the 5-second rule, which claims that if you pick it up within 5 seconds, it's still good to eat. It's a comforting thought that has probably saved many a fallen cookie from the trash bin. The origins of this rule are a bit murky. Some say it dates back to ancient times, when people believed that food dropped on the ground was still safe as long as it wasn't there for too long. Others think it's a modern myth that gained traction through word of mouth and social media. Regardless of its roots, this rule has become a staple of our dining lives, especially when we're faced with the dilemma of whether to rescue that fallen snack or toss it away. To truly understand the 5-second rule, we need to dive into some science. Let's talk about food contamination and what really happens when food hits the floor. First, it's essential to know that bacteria can transfer to food instantly. In fact, bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria don't wait around for 5 seconds before making their move. As soon as food makes contact with a contaminated surface, bacteria can start transferring to it. The 5-second rule doesn't give bacteria a stopwatch to time their transfer. Research shows that bacteria can transfer to food almost immediately upon contact. In a study conducted by the American Society for Microbiology, researchers found that the amount of bacteria transferred to food didn't depend on how long it was on the floor, but rather on the cleanliness of the surface. So if your floor is less than pristine, even a fraction of a second can lead to contamination. To bust this myth thoroughly, let's consider 2 scenarios: a clean floor and a dirty floor. In a laboratory setting, scientists dropped food on surfaces deliberately contaminated with bacteria. They found that the level of bacteria transferred to the food was high regardless of how long it stayed on the floor. Imagine your kitchen floor is pristine and you drop your sandwich for just a second. While you might feel confident about eating it, bacteria can still cling to your food. Now, picture dropping that sandwich in a bathroom or a street. Definitely not a place you'd want to eat from, no matter how quick you are. The type of food and surface texture also play crucial roles in contamination. For instance, sticky foods like gummy candies or pizza toppings are more likely to pick up bacteria from the floor than dry foods like crackers. This is because the stickier the food, the more it can pick up contaminants. Similarly, the type of surface matters. A smooth surface like tile might transfer fewer bacteria compared to a rough, porous surface like carpet. This doesn't mean you should drop your food on a carpeted floor with confidence. It just emphasizes that bacteria can hitch a ride on your food more easily on certain surfaces. The 5-second rule has become a cultural phenomenon, often referenced in movies, TV shows, and social media. It's a quirky belief that many find comforting, even if deep down they know it might not be entirely accurate. In pop culture, characters often rescue food from the floor with a triumphant declaration of 5 seconds. It's a humorous nod to our collective willingness to believe in this rule, despite the scientific evidence. We've seen it in comedy skits, sitcoms, and even memes, showcasing how deeply ingrained this myth is in our daily lives. Even though science might have debunked the 5-second rule, it's worth noting that myths like these often serve a psychological purpose. They offer a way to rationalize and feel better about decisions, especially when we're faced with the dilemma of wasting food or indulging in a little indulgence. So, if the 5-second rule is a myth, what should you do instead? The key takeaway is to prioritize hygiene. Clean surfaces and proper food handling practices are crucial for preventing contamination. Here are a few tips to keep in mind. Keeping your floors clean helps reduce the risk of bacterial contamination. Regular mopping and sanitizing can go a long way. Avoid placing food directly on the floor and use clean utensils and plates. Wash your hands frequently and avoid touching your face while handling food. If you drop food in an environment with high contamination risks, like a public area or bathroom, it's best to err on the side of caution and discard it. Understanding how bacteria spread and practicing good hygiene can help you make better decisions about food safety. There you have it, the amazing story of the 5-second rule. While it might be tempting to cling to the idea that food is still safe after a brief encounter with the floor, science tells us that bacteria can transfer almost instantly. Cleaning your floors, practicing good food hygiene, and being mindful of your environment are the real keys to keeping your food safe.
That's a wrap for this episode of RSN Real Science Now. Thanks for tuning in, science lovers. Keep questioning everything and exploring the world around you. We'll be back with more mind-blowing facts soon. Until then, stay curious.